My name is Sue Way, and this is the Title I iPad Initiative. This is for the Needs Assessment and Analysis class at George Washington University. It's December 2012. A little bit of project background. The elementary schools in our district are accredited with warning due to poor student performance on the state standards of learning test. This is, of course, a major concern for our district, and we are exploring ways of improving student achievement and performance on these SOL tests. During the 2011-2012 school year, an iPad pilot was initiated. Each elementary school received a class set of iPads, and additional iPads were made available for teacher checkout. This was followed during this current school year, 2012-2013, with a Title I iPad initiative. Every teacher received an iPad, an LCD projector attachment for their iPad, and then additional class sets of iPads were purchased for each school. No teacher training was provided prior to either iPad rollout. An iPad focus group was created to discuss how iPads could be used for professional and personal growth, not instructional use, but no elementary teachers are participating in this group. This group has a voluntary commitment and membership, and it does meet after school hours. The senior elementary administrator has asked the district ITRT to provide training and modeling of best practices because she currently feels that teachers are not following best practices when using the iPads in their classroom. This needs assessment was conducted to determine best practices, current teacher knowledge, and how teachers are currently using the iPads in their classroom. The first thing we did was do some surveys. We did an electronic survey of elementary teachers and then a brief informal survey of the elementary administrators. The teacher survey focused on teacher knowledge of iPads, how often and how the iPads are used in the classroom, how teachers rate the iPad as an instructional tool, and how teachers determine which apps will enhance instruction and add to the usefulness of the iPad as an instructional tool. Additional questions regarding the physical plant and school climate were asked for some background information. The administrators were asked for their perceptions of teacher use of technology during instruction. Several elementary classrooms were observed during the use of iPads to determine some of the current teacher practices. Professional journals and educational websites were also reviewed for articles and guidance on developing standards for best practices. Finally, during a meeting attended by numerous other districts from our region, we led a discussion on best practices when using iPads in the classroom. These districts come typically from small rural areas, and they range in size from smaller to ours to larger than ours, sometimes substantially, but we all have a common theme based on our regional geographic location. Many of these districts have already implemented iPad rollouts or in the process of implementing iPad rollouts, and they were able to discuss how iPads are being used in their classrooms. The first thing that we learned is there's very little information available on best practices in the educational instructional use of iPads. The majority of articles and websites which purport to be sources of information on best practices typically just list the apps that are used. Very little information is provided on how to use these tools to enhance instruction. The same situation occurred during the regional meeting. Most representatives immediately began describing the apps which their teachers used rather than providing information on practices and procedures. Both the survey results and classroom observations demonstrated that there is a wide variance in how teachers are using iPads in the classroom, but at least the majority of our elementary teachers are using them on a regular basis, although not all of them are. The uses range from whole class instruction, reward during free time, and as a presentation tool using a projector. We also questioned how teachers are evaluating apps, and we realized that there's a lot of difference on how teachers value an app as an instructional tool. One of the big concerns was that there was very little use of iPads for reading and writing practice compared to when it was used for drill and practice or as a reward. And the literature review and outside sources and classroom observations all did indicate that the most effective use of iPads involved reading and writing practice. They noticed significant improvement in student achievement in these areas, which is very important to us because the scores on those SOL tests are part of the basis for determining our school accreditation. Another common theme was that effective use of iPads involved active teacher involvement. Having the children work independently with the iPads with no teacher involvement was nowhere near as effective as when the teacher was actively involved with the students during that time. The majority of our teachers have still not attended any training on using iPads or using iPads as an instructional tool. However, the majority of teachers are interested in attending this type of training if the district does offer it. One thing that turned out not to be of concern is the physical plant. While teachers indicated that the classroom environment is sometimes an issue, or frequently an issue, and that it created problems when using technology overall during instruction, they also made it clear that when using the iPads, these issues were not a factor, which makes the iPads far more convenient than many other types of technology the teachers have available to them. The biggest recommendation is we need professional development. And there's a big interest in receiving professional development. Some of the types of professional development we could offer would be formal training sessions, focus groups, mentors, classroom observations both in and out of our district, instructional videos, and newsletters with articles on best practices and use of specific apps during instruction. The good news is we don't need to worry about making changes to the classroom, the physical plant, to accommodate the use of iPads in instructions. Thank you for your time and attention.